Hi everyone, I'm Victoria and this is my nightly routine review. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about Over Camelot by Sophie Keetch, the third and final book in the Morgan trilogy. I loved this book so much. So if anyone hasn't read the Morgan trilogy, it starts off with a book called Morgan is My Name, which is a retelling or a reimagining of Arthurian legend centred around the character of Morgan le Fay. And if any of you have watched BBC Merlin, or if any of you have good taste, then you probably recognise the character as Morgana Pendragon. I didn't think this through because I can't talk with this on my lipstick. I'm just gonna have to fast forward this bit, hopefully. Okay, I'm back. My laptop is making weird sounds and it looks like I've just eaten someone. But anyway, so the trilogy essentially follows Morgan as she grows from a young child living with her mother under the authority of Uther Pendragon. He's worse than in the Merlin series. He's actually just a horrible little fucker. Horrible cretin. But he's not in it for long, so every cloud. Yay! And this book in particular, I really enjoyed it. I did receive it, I think, a day or so before it came out. Because I pre-ordered it on the Waterstones website because I've got to get those loyalty points in. But I didn't get round to reading it just because I had a couple of other books, particularly arcs, that I had to get through. So I wanted to prioritise reading those first before I started reading something else. But this book essentially picks up, obviously, at the end of book 2. Because that is typically how trilogies work, for those of you who are not aware of that. And Morgan is grieving. She's grieving a huge loss, and she has sworn vengeance on Camelot and King Arthur, her brother, and anyone who sides with him. So she is fully just raining chaos down on them, both metaphorically and literally, because the book's called Storm Over Camelot for a reason. It's not purely metaphorical, guys. There's actual rain clouds and stuff. And you know what? I thought she was fully justified. She goes all in. She is angry, she is grieving, she is hurting, and she is the definition of the phrase hurt people. And I just think that is such an amazing type of character to read about, especially when it comes to women. Men, respectfully, I'm not really that bothered. But women particularly, yes. Especially strong female figures in mythology and legend and folklore and things like that. Honestly, you know what, you go girl. Do it. So, this story follows Morgan on her quest for revenge and her trying to deal with her grief over losing someone that she really loved. Obviously, otherwise, probably wouldn't really matter that much. And I just thought that it was such an emotional tale, and it tied up a lot of loose ends from the first 2 books. There was one particular storyline which I would have liked to have had some closure on that. So I'm gonna give a little spoiler on it. I'll try and put the timings below, but this is just your warning. Spoiler. I was hoping that we'd get some closure concerning the plot around her and Accolon's baby. I was really hoping that there'd be a bit more to that we'd find out. Obviously she gave birth to her and Acheron's child while she was studying under Merlin, and then Merlin, like, robbed a baby and magically made it so that she could never, ever meet him. And I feel like that plot was kind of only put in there so that she'd have more of a reason to be angry, which I felt was a bit unnecessary because she's already got plenty of reasons to be angry and fuming and all of this stuff. Like, she's already had one child that she can't see now because of her abusive ex-husband. Like, there didn't need to be that plot line in the second one if it wasn't really going to be used in the third one. Like, it was mentioned at the start, but then I think by the 50% point it kind of seemed forgotten, which was a bit upsetting. So I was hoping that there'd be more to do with that, but I didn't find the story lacking in any other regard. Yeah, but the writing style is absolutely gorgeous. Like, it is so beautiful, just the imagery that she uses and like the language and just the overall messages. Like, you can feel Morgana's grief and anger and just her longing for something more, and like it gets to a point where she's just so filled with rage that she doesn't even really know what she's angry at, or she doesn't really know what result she's seeking anymore. She's just so angry and she just wants to destroy things, which I get. And it's just such a good way to portray it, because obviously as humans, when we're angry, we feel like we want a particular thing to happen, but we don't always know what that thing is. It's like there's this urge to destroy something and lash out, but then it's a matter of not really knowing what you'd say if you were given the opportunity or what you'd destroy. And it felt real, it felt human, and it felt intense. And to be honest with you, I think I started reading it a couple of days ago, and I read a little bit and then I put it down just because life stuff got in the way, because believe it or not, I do actually have a life. I know it's very shocking, I'll give you a moment to compose yourselves. But then I picked it up again yesterday and started reading it properly, and I finished it today. I could not put it down. When I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it, and when I was reading it, I was just like, oh my god, I love this book. So much happened in one book, but it didn't feel rushed. It felt right. It felt very full circle, in my opinion, and overall I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an absolute masterpiece. I think on Goodreads I did rate it 4 stars just because, again, there were some plot lines that I would have liked to have seen explored. The ending was good. Like, it did feel full circle. It did feel like closure, but it kind of just felt a bit like, oh, okay, is that it now? A little bit anticlimactic, that's the word I'm looking for. Just a bit. And the introduction of some important characters was a little bit lackluster. It's like they weren't important in the story, but they were important to the plot and how the plot unfolded. And it felt like they were included solely as the character from the myth and not like as characters that were fully fleshed out, if that makes sense. Like, they didn't feel as three-dimensional as other characters within the story that don't play roles in the book that are as pivotal as others. I think that makes sense. Well, I hope you understood what I meant by that. It is time for me to get my pyjamas on, so I'm gonna pause the video because, well, I mean, that would be on another site and I'd be charging a lot more than nothing, so see you soon. Okay, I'm back. I'm decent in clothes that aren't mine, but that's fine. So yeah, I just wanted to come back and say that I absolutely loved this book. If you've not read any of the... You are slipping. If you've not read any of the Morgana trilogy, I cannot recommend it enough. It is an absolutely amazing trilogy. Like, I love it. Like, she's just... And you're slipping again. See, this is what I get for not having a proper setup. Yeah, if you enjoy mythology, especially Celtic, Welsh mythology, and folklore and Arthurian legend, then I would highly, highly recommend this trilogy. It has just so much female rage in it. Like, I can't even tell you how much female rage. Like, there's just a lot. I will say the first book does depict domestic abuse, and it does mention sexual assault. So if those are themes that are triggering for you, then just be aware of that. But overall, like, I would really recommend it. That's all my rambling done. I'm gonna get into bed now, and I'm gonna try and sleep on some brain cells. Hopefully see you next week.